look for baby bamboo shoots. But they don't take them little bamboo. They get them big bamboos that when their shoot is coming out of the ground, they're already 3 to 4 inches in diameter.
Okay.
And they're just about, I don't know, 3-4 inches tall. And they cut that off. All the people, I didn't say this at the beginning, they all carry a parang machete. And that's what they used to use to take off heads with too.
And what does this machete look like?
Well, it has a wooden handle on it, kind of with a head and feathers or stuff draped on it and
Okay.
stuff. It's kind of fancy and carved, and they use that to cut up stuff with, everything they cut up with.
And how is the blade different from a machete that we would be familiar with, or is it different?
It's a narrow blade. It ain't one of them, some of the machetes got a big old round end on them and
Right.
stuff like that. Or, it's just a straight, kind of more or less straight, a narrow blade. And anyway, we went in, we hunted for the baby bamboo shoots. And then the next thing they hunted for was a nettle that has thorns all over it. And
Yes.
they said, don't touch, because it will itch and cause pain. And they have these here pinchers that they make out of bamboo. They take a piece of bamboo about 1 inch wide and about 12 inches long, and then they heat it in the center, and it folds, and then it keeps that, and where you can just pinch with it, and it always opens up. But as long as you pinch, and that's how they would get this here nettle. So,
what was the purpose of collecting the nettles?
Pardon?
What was the purpose of collecting the nettles?
That was supper.
Oh,
that was the vegetable, like the bamboo shoot, the nettles, and the fish, all goes in a pot with the rice.
Okay.
Everything is is a soup like, but it's that if you get a turtle goes in the pot. Whatever it is, it all goes in that pot and makes that it's more like a soup than it is a heavy solid food.
Okay, more of a soup versus a stew.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
With the rice, the nettle, the bamboo, and the fish. And then I carried that up and presented it to the head man that we were staying with, and everything was great. It was amazing, the whole trip.
Well, now these people didn't know you. You just wandered into their town, and they just accepted you?
Hello.
Yeah, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, I was asking. I was asking if you went up the river with these people and just went into their town, and they just accepted you as one of their own, or as a visitor. I mean, how did this transpire?
A visitor, and that's why the CUSO volunteer told us to take the canned meat.
Ah, okay.
You present it to them, and that's a gift, and then you're welcome.
And then, of course, you were an acquaintance of the Canadian who they held in high regard. And here's this acquaintance of the Canadian who they hold in high regard coming to the town with a gift, so they let you stay.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Another thing that was really weird, the girls, as soon as they reach puberty, then they're marriageable age.
Okay.
So a lot of the women their growth gets stunted because it goes to the baby, as they're still growing at 13, 14 years old.
Right.
And there was one girl, and she was still in the village, and I don't know why she didn't go out to the fields and work. She was 18 years old, and they made fun of her. She was an old maid.
Because she hadn't married yet.
She hadn't married because her family was really strict, and they wouldn't let boys around her. And so they would make fun of her and stuff. And other people traveled up and down the river, and they could sleep. If the girl was of age, anybody could sleep with them. But if you slept with them more than 3 times, then you had to marry them.
Really?
It was crazy. It's another world. It was a completely different world.
Well, I would imagine then you have unmarried girls having children.
Well, not many people moved up and down that river, up that far.
Okay.
And they kind of knew, I think, and I think they would go after you maybe if you didn't marry.
So
I'm not sure.
So if you had relations with the girl, she got pregnant, you kind of had to marry her too.
Right.
Okay, got it.
I don't know how all that worked. But
so it was a Headhunters version of a shotgun wedding.
There you go. I guess that's one way to put it.
Okay.
They also tattooed them. And that 18-year-old, she was one of the last ones that was still tattooed. They would tattoo them from their ankle all the way up to their knee, from their wrist all the way to their elbow. And they said it was terribly painful. They use a piece of bamboo that they sharpen to a needle point, and then they take the charcoal and crush it up and make the dye. And they tattoo the heck out of them, and they get infected, and probably some of them die from it. If the truth is known, I don't know how that all works.
Now, was that a sign of beauty or a sign of why did they do that? To the girls only, or boys and girls?
Boys had tattoos too, but not like that.
Okay.
I don't know. I really don't know. And not only that, the women and even the little baby girls and stuff, they put earrings in them, and they would stretch the ear. The richer they were, the more metal rings they would put in each ear, and it would stretch the bottom of the earlobe all the way down to almost to their breast.
Wow.
And the little babies would have that in them too. One big earring and already stretching the earlobe down to their chest area.
Wow. Interesting.
And the women all went topless,
mm-hmm.
except for the young girls. The first time they got pregnant, the men would pick on them when their breast would start swelling, so they would put something over them. Other than that, then after they had their child, it didn't matter no more, and
sure,
and they could care less. So all the women were topless,
mm-hmm.
and they get old really fast. And if I remember correctly, a lot of them, 35, 40 years old is a long life.
That's the men and women.
Yeah, because it's so rough.
Oh, sure.
The life is so hard. But and like I said, I spent a total of 3 days there. The day we got there, the next whole day we went fishing, and then the next day, they said a boat was coming back down the river, and it was the same one that brought us up. So we had to catch the boat because they didn't know when the next one would be coming, or it might be a week, it might be whenever.
Right.
So we caught that boat the next time. Well, going back was a lot easier because you're going with the current now.
Exactly.
Not with it. And it was so funny because the motor they have on it is just the handheld, where you steer it with the hand and the
right.
gas operate the throttle,
Right.
And at one time I looked around, and here was the guy running the boat. He was using his foot to steer and to run the throttle, and he was peeing off the back of the boat. just standing straight up.
Well, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah. And anyway, we finally made it back to Cebu, and then we caught a freighter and went to Sabah, and which is the state above Brunei, and even hitchhiked part of that because they did have a road up there. They got roads now in Sabah too, but they didn't at that time. And went up to Sabah, and there's it used to be called Jesselton because you still see stuff where the Australian Army was in there, and they had their Jeeps with rail wheels on them, and they used them old rail tracks.
Now, is this in the town of Sabah?
No, this is a state. Sabah is the state. Jesselton was the old name of it. It's called Kota Kinabalu now.
Okay.
And that's almost to the tip, way up top there.
I see Kota Marudu. I see Kota Balud.
Where are you at there? Keep going almost to the top of Borneo there. Then you get to
there's a town called Kudat right at the top.
Okay, wait a minute now. Hold on. Well, now, hell, I lost my place here. No, ain't that far. You said you seen Kota Balud?
Yes.
Okay, you're too high yet.
Okay.
Now I think. Well, I'll be dang. Yeah, you're way too high.
Okay.
All right, come on down, and then if you don't see Kota Kinabalu, if you see a Putatan, then you're too far south.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still looking.
And then there's a Mount Kinabalu that
I see Mount Kinabalu.
Okay, now go to the left and at an angle down a little bit, and there's the town of Kota Kinabalu. And anyway, that's the highest mountain in Southeast Asia.
Mount Kinabalu?
Yeah, 13,455 feet.
Okay.
So I decided I was going to climb that. Well, they won't let you on the mountain unless you take a guide.
Okay.
So I had to pay for a guide. And the reason is, it's just a footpath up to the top. But now they've got all kinds of places and restaurants and you name it. It's like a business. It is a business, a big business. At the time, not many people were doing it. And you have to rent the guide, and he brings all the food and everything. And it was the most worthless thing I'd done, because there's supposed to be orangutans in that area, and that's what I wanted to see.
Yes.
But I never did see any. Seen them monkey pod flowers that they drank out of and stuff, but didn't see no orangutans. But anyway, you had to be they had two metal huts, one at the lower level and then the higher level. And you had to be you wanted to be in one of them by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because the monsoon rain, it just poured, and the whole pass coming down off the mountain was like a little river. And you had to get off of it or be in one of them tents. So this guy, he practically ran up that mountain. Of course, I was in good shape, but he had a cigarette in his mouth the whole time. and plus carrying his food and my food and everything else, Well, I carried my own clothes and stuff, what I put on at night,
sure,
blanket and stuff like that. And they had some bunk beds in this here in these huts. They were 10 huts. I think they had like 6 beds or something in there, three bunk beds, and you get it. We got to the top one before 4 o'clock, so he started cooking supper. As soon as it got dark, almost after we ate, we went to bed because you're tired. Slept like a baby. He got me up before daylight, cooked breakfast, which was rice again, and we left the hut just as it was breaking daylight. We'd already ate and had our stuff all packed and ready to go. Ran up to the top of the mountain, and you had to be off of there by 10 o'clock in the morning, because the fog come in so heavy you couldn't even see your feet.
Really?
It was just, and even when we got up there in the morning, all you could see was the tip of stuff around you, lower below you, because the fog was already settled down there.
Well, I'm looking at a map of Mount Kinabalu, and it appears that, it's over 13,000 feet. So you're above the tree line. It looks like there's nothing grows there. It looks like
there's a rock. You get to eventually a rock area, and then it's just rock above that.
And it looks like there's a small lake at the bottom of it.
There probably was. I don't remember it.
Well, maybe because the fog was too bad, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, you wouldn't have seen it in the morning anyhow.
Did you stay at the Mount Kinabalu View Lodge? Because there's a lodge